Good day, everyone. This is Teacher Japhet, and welcome to JNR Classroom. For today's topic, we will be talking about our skeletal system. What do you think is the role of our skeletal system? Is it really important to us? What will happen if we don't have this system? The skeletal system gives the body structural support and shape. It holds the body as one and allows it to move. Now, what composes the skeletal system? And of course, how does each part help the body in terms of form and movements? Of course, skeletal system. This is a system composed of our bones. Do you know that there are 206 bones in your body? And each bone has a specific and size. There are long and short bones. There are flat bones and irregular shaped bones. Now, there are two categories of the skeletal system. The first category is called the axial skeleton. The axial skeleton is composed of 80 bones, including the skull, the backbone, breastbone, and ribs. The skull protects the brain. It is made up of many bones fused to form a helmet-like structure called the cranium. Aside from the cranium, the skull also has many facial bones and ear bones. Attached to the skull is the backbone or spinal column. It is made up of 26 irregular-shaped hollow bones called vertebra. They are stacked on the top of each other and encloses the spinal cord. The breastbone or sternum is a long, flat bone at the middle of the chest. It is attached to cage-like curved bones called ribs. There are 12 pairs of ribs, 10 of which are attached to the sternum. The two unattached pairs are called floating ribs. What do we call them? Yes, floating ribs. The sternum and ribs enclose the heart and lungs. Now, let us go to the second category of the skeletal system, and it is called appendicular skeleton. Appendicular skeleton, on the other hand, is composed of bones that aid movement like the collarbones, shoulder blades, and bones of the arms, legs, and hips. There are 126 bones in the appendicular skeleton. So, if the axial skeleton has 80 bones, while appendicular skeleton has more bones comprising it. It has 126 bones. The bones that protrude at the base of your neck are the collarbones or clavicles. They are attached to the flat and triangular bones called the shoulder blades or scapula. Both bones stabilize the rib cage and connect the shoulder to the arms. The arm has 3 bones in the upper arm called humerus and 2 in the lower arm called radius and ulna. Each hand also has several bones for the fingers and palm. In total, one arm has 30 bones. Oh yes, 30 bones. Just below your waist, you can feel your hip bone that connects the backbone and the legs. In the middle of the hip bones is a ring called the pelvis. Just like your arm, your leg has one bone called femur or femur. In the upper leg or thigh and 2 bones called tibia and fibula. In the lower leg, between the upper and lower leg is the patella or kneecap. The foot also has several bones. In total, one leg and foot have 30 bones. Joints. You can bend your knees, twist your arms, nod your head, and do many other things. You can do a lot of movements thanks to your joints. A joint is formed when 2 bones meet. You can determine the function of a joint by looking at its structure. Let's go to cartilage. Some bones have their ends coated with smooth and slippery tissue. This fibrous tissue is called cartilage. It functions as a shock absorber. Okay, so what is the shock absorber of of the bones? It is called cartilage. It also acts as a cushion between two bones and help the joint move. There is also an oil-like fluid at the end of the bones, and it is called synovial fluid that lubricates the bone. Now, let us go to ligaments. I want you to touch the back of your knee. What do you feel? Yeah, there is like thing that is like a stick. So what you feel is what we call ligament. Ligaments are made of very thick and elastic material, making them tough. They can stretch when the bones move. The bones does not separate even if they do a lot of movement, because the ligaments hold them together. Now let us go to tendons. If ligaments connect a bone to another bone, remember that, what is it? What do you call the thing that joins bone to a bone? It's ligament. Okay? If ligament connects bone to a bone, what do you call the thing that connect the bone to the muscle? Tendons connect a muscle to a bone. It also is made up of a tough material. An example of a tendon is the Achilles tendon in the foot. It connects the calf muscles to the heel bone. Now, there are several injuries to the skeletal system. We have sprain, dislocation, and fracture. A sprain occurs when too much pressure is put on a joint and the nearby bones and ligaments. This causes the ligament to stretch too much. Sprains commonly occurs in the ankles, knees, shoulders, waist, and fingers. Dislocation occurs when severe pressure is put on the joints, forcing the bones to move out of alignment. It is always accompanied by ligament damage and sometimes bone fracture. Symptoms of dislocation include pain, rapid swelling, and discoloration in the affected area. Alright, so don't be confused. Dislocation is, of course, the severe pressure that it is too much for the bones that it move out of alignment. Sprain, it is, of course, still pressure on a joint and the bones and ligament, but there is no disalignment. Okay, so dislocation, disalignment. Now fracture, it is a high impact force on the bone that may cause break. This may happen during an intense sport activity, a fall, or a vehicular accident. Let us talk about diseases and disorder of the skeletal system. Arthritis. Arthritis is a common bone disease among old people. It is a result of the gradual erosion of the protective layer of cartilage between the bones of the joints. It can cause pains, stiffness, and swelling of the joints. Rickets. Number 2. This is the weakening and the softening of the bones because of vitamin D deficiency. Scoliosis. This is an abnormal curvature of the spinal cord. And osteoporosis. This is when bones lack of phosphorus and calcium. Older people are more susceptible to osteoporosis because the ability of the body to absorb calcium lessens with age. Now, let us talk of caring for our skeletal system. Number 1, eat and drink calcium-rich foods like milk, cheese, other dairy products. And of course, broccoli, salmon, nuts, oranges, and other calcium-fortified foods are also good source of calcium. Number 2, include vitamin D food in your diet, such as eggs, fatty fish, orange juice, cereals, and for calcium absorption. Number 3, exercise at least twice a week. 4, avoid smoking and drinking alcoholic beverages. And number 5, Always fasten your seatbelt when riding a car and wear a helmet when using a motorcycle. And that's all. Thank you for tuning in JNR Classroom. Thank you.